Alrighty, we are back with some more episodes. It's gonna be a little bit later because I had some equipment failures during our podcast, and I had to order some new stuff, and we're working on that. But we're back with another episode, and while we're talking here, I have to look something up because I'm realizing in my rush to get home, get something to eat, and get these recordings done that I didn't look up something while we were doing this. I have to ask you, since they're kind of being loose and whatever with stuff, do you think that they're going to do anything with Miss O'Hara?
That is a great question.
I kind of have to know if they're gonna, because it's one of those things where you get a name. It is exactly what I thought that was. I knew it! They did the thing that I predicted they were going to do. They just did it later on. Okay, so yeah, they have everything going on with Miss O'Hara and the adoptive kids. So the thing that I brought up last week when we recorded was like, you know what? Are we going to have the scene where Norman Osborn parodies what Tony did when he met Peter for the first time in Civil War? And then we have this meeting in his office where they're going over everything and they're showing him, are you Spider-Man? Are you this? Are you that? And I was like, oh, damn, I guess I wasn't 100% right. He's not gonna, is this you? And then he does. And it's the literal scene where he stops the car from hitting the bus that Tony shows Peter in Civil War. So I didn't kind of call it. I did call it.
Yep, you did. I think the only difference is you actually get to see it in the show before Norman pulls out his phone.
Yeah, that was cool. And they showed some other things, and I was going to ask a question later, but then we got it answered in the end of the episode. How long do you think it's going to take before Norman turns evil, if he isn't already?
It's going to be the big reveal at the end of the season. Like, I had this thought as I was watching the episode. This version of Norman Osborn feels a lot like season 1 Harrison Wells.
It does. Yeah, it kind of does. We obviously can't have it for the same reasons that he's helping him. He does have the caveat that he saved his son. So that's the only difference.
Yeah, that might be the only real, real emotion that he feels positively about Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they did a thing in Spectacular Spider-Man where they have, obviously it's not the first time they've had maybe behind on a rent, but they did a thing in Spectacular Spider-Man where he had the Venom suit and Tombstone offered him to turn a blind eye to his criminal activities and just his, and for that he would pay him. I don't know if something like that's going to happen later on, but he's obviously going to pay for the internship, so he gets something out of it that way. But it was I thought it was a cool thing that he gets these great minds together, this Oscorp internship, and it was literally just to find out who Spider-Man was.
Yeah. That seemed like something that was bound to happen.
He gets all these people together, and then all of a sudden he sees that the exact thought was, then I realized that no one that worked for me was smart enough to make the stuff that you have. And I was like, it has to be someone else, but it also has to be someone smaller and someone younger and all this. And like, I would genuinely like for this to be a kind Norman Osborn that has to get turned evil. and not one that has an ulterior motive and he's genuinely being kind, but the other shoe's gonna fall. I would like it if they try to pull that Norman's like actually a nice person.
But then how do you explain the tech that we've seen?
We don't know because we don't know what the. Well, I can tell you who I think it is and what I think it is. What is the symbol for that tech?
Is Wait, is that that's not Oscorp, is it?
No, what's the symbol? Like the thing. What is it? What is the actual symbol?
Oh, it's like an infinity symbol.
An infinity symbol or an 8.
Oh.
Who's a guy that has 8 having to do with him that makes gadgets? Specifically gadgets that are tailored to limbs.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
I think for once we might have kind of the opposite of what we got in the Spider-Man PS4 game where Norman was evil the entire time and Otto went evil but was a good guy. Now we have Otto who's just going to be evil because initially what they had in the Amazing Spider-Man game, he got his funding cut and Norman stole an idea from Otto and that's how he got big. And then as Otto is trying to make himself like fix his limbs and stuff, Osborn comes in and like cuts all his funding and like undercuts him and makes a better version of it just to screw over Otto. And then Otto does an experimental thing from AIM to try and make it better, and that's how he loses like his autonomy and goes nuts. So I'm gonna wonder if they just don't have all of that, but Otto was just nuts to begin with.
It's possible.
Because if it was Oscorp tech, I don't get where the infinity symbol comes from.
True.
But if that's an 8, which was what it looked like to me, that would make a lot more sense for Dr. Octopus.
And I feel like we're not going to get an answer. Hell, we might not even get an answer this season.
Yeah. Because we haven't even gotten a legit Spider-Man villain in the show yet. Other than the Venom alien thing that Strange was wrestling. Give or take, we're only 3 episodes in, but it's a 10-episode run.
True.
We're 30% of the way to the show, and we don't even have a sniff of a fart of a Spider-Man villain.
Well, okay, so in this episode where we see the couple, Maria Vasquez and James Sanders, that's Tarantula and Speed Demon.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. I didn't even know they said their names in the show, or did they not?
I think they said their names like maybe once, but all you get are just like honey or yes babe.
Wow, okay. That must have been the credits. Yeah, I didn't hear them say their names at all, so I thought it was just random people that got given shit. Okay. I've never even heard of Speed Demon before.
Me neither. That's kind of a deep cut in the Spider-Man.
Like, Tarantula I've heard of, but not Speed Demon. Okay. Huh. Okay. We haven't gotten a named Spider-Man villain, I guess, unless these two come back, because it was Speed... Guy with boots and girl with claw. So, and also, there was robotic limbs coming out of the trash can that lifted it to go up in the air.
Okay, so maybe it's
I'm,
it's pretty obvious.
I'm gonna start betting my house that it's Doc Ock. But, yeah, so... I was going to ask you in my notes, like, hey, I really love Lonnie this season, and I'm like, how long do you think it's going to take before someone eventually ruins him? And then it happened in this episode. Because his brother's a moron!
I'll be honest. I got scared when I saw the cop car by his apartment. I'm like,
Yep.
oh no, what happened?
Yeah, because I'm like, what are they trying to do with Lonnie that they're making him be Peter's best friend? Because they already have. And by the way, I forgot who she was, but Pearl is a character in Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, she's who is she?
She's a named person. Pearl Spider-Man. Pearl Pagan from your Neverly Neighborhood Spider-Man. The comics, I status. Oh, gosh,
Oh,
dang it.
Wave.
Wave. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because she's on the swim team and all that.
Yeah, so it's like, man, it doesn't look familiar. And all it's looked like, oh, okay. Got it now. Now, this is the thing where they start playing this Russian roulette with putting all these characters that have alternate identities in here where you're kind of like, well, we can just make them a character whenever we want to, or we cannot, and it doesn't matter. Because this is the most varied version of what Peter's friend group in high school is ever.
They really are doing like a modernized version of Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
Yeah, they're just throwing shit at the wall. This feels like they went in the writer's room and went, who's someone you like from comics that we can make a kid? Because they're apparently, at one point, we're going to have a de-aged Jessica Jones in there, and that's who Nico's character was supposed to be. If rumors are correct.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah. So they're kind of just getting stuff in to where it's, no, we're going to make the Spider-Man cartoon be one you've never seen before. And so far it is. And the legit only thing I... Go ahead.
I really do appreciate how they are going so far off the beaten path that like even like diehard Spider-Man fans are like, yeah, no, I vibe with this.
Exactly. And like the legit thing I don't like is just how much, and it really showed in this one during the fight, how much they're trying to make him sound like Tom Holland. That's the legit only thing I don't like. 'Cause his voice tone doesn't quite match what Tom Holland does.
It's a little bit lower than Tom's Spidey voice.
Yeah. And yeah, like the mannerisms and everything. I hope that slowly fades. But they're obviously trying to MCU this, because like I said earlier, they literally redo the scene where Norman is in Tony's shoes showing him the bus hitting it, and they had the scene where they were on the couch and everything. So they're clearly like, no, there's going to be a lot of MCU redos in this, which, it's fine. And I love to death, which is I hope for at least a season we get to keep Norman being, like, if he is legitimately a good person. Because Norman being the guy in the chair was something I never thought I'd see.
Again, kind of like Harrison Wells in season 1 of The Flash.
It is, but it's one of those things where he doesn't magically have the answer. Where he's like, hey, Barry, what if, and I'm just saying you could try this, you phased through a wall to get the bomb off? Do you think I could do that? Just believe in yourself, Barry. I believe you can. You sound really sure about that, Wells. Trust me, I believe in you. Yeah, it's cool to have the older guy cheering him on, because, like, if he genuinely likes him and wants to help him just because he saved his son, that'd be amazing, because then what you could do is make Norman be good and have this guy's person have the Hobgoblin for a main villain.
I like that.
And, like, try your best to keep Norman normal. Because what people don't remember, what was that called? I really liked it, but now I'm blanking on the descriptor. What was the Spider-Man cartoon that came out after TAS where he had a cape?
Oh, what was it? Spider-Man Unlimited?
Spider-Man Unlimited. When they get to the other planet, like, he still works for the Bugle, but the Green Goblin isn't evil. He, like, helps him. And it was super weird, but I loved it because it was something that was so different that I never knew what they were going to do with it. And then they canceled it, like, right when the big symbiote invasion happened that Venom and Carnage were setting up. I'm like, ah! He had a nanotech suit before it was cool. And before they did it with everything. It was awesome. And they were on a different planet. It was the coolest shit ever. Do that idea again! It was essentially Spider-Man, like, Beyond before they tried making a cartoon out of 2099.
I need to go and find that if it's out there.
You can find it on some random things, like I got a totally legal DVD copy of it. This is gonna date me. I watched it, like, again back when, you remember when all of the, like, Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, and all that were in split up 3-part chunks of episodes all in playlists on YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
That's where I watched it.
Oh, the good old days.
Oh, yeah. So, question. Do you think the gang is going to get into something and trying to steal something from somewhere, and it's way too high tech and they run off, and that's what turns Lonnie into Tombstone because of an accident?
I mean, how else is he going to become that character?
The only other thing I can think of is, what was it, Big Devon? What's his name?
What was Big Donovan?
Big Donovan, that's what it was. I'm wondering if one of their gangs steals something and they hear about it being a super special formula or something, and Big Donovan hears that there might be side effects, so he doesn't want to try it on himself.
But he gives it to Lonnie.
So he makes Lonnie do it under the threat of hurting his family. Then, all this crap happens. He turns into this. They freak out. He gets in a fight with Big Donovan, kills him, and he takes over the gang.
I could see that.
I think that's kind of how it's going to run. And I think that Peter's not going to know that he gets turned into Tombstone. He's going to have to find that out eventually because Lonnie went missing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Because if you're going to make eventually, like, an end credit, like, that could be the end of the show, or end of this season, is Lonnie turning into Tombstone.
I feel like that's going to happen first before the Norman Osborn reveal.
Oh, absolutely, and it should. Because you can't... I don't want them to, one after another, go, hey, all these people who were nice to you are now evil. I understand that Peter Parker is the punching bag of comics, but don't do all of it in a season. Like, we could keep that sparsed a little. But, yeah, I think this might be my favorite episode they've done.
Same.
It's really good. Yeah, they're doing really good with this. But yeah, unless you got anything else, I'm good.
I'm just excited to get on to the next episode.
As am I. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us here on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
All right, you can find me everywhere at Organized Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. If you like cosplay stuff or conventions of on that sort, you can follow my Instagram under the same thing. And I should start plugging this. I really should. A friend of mine who I met at my very first convention, Eli and me have started a podcast, the Geeking Out Podcast, where he picks a subject each week and we go and blab on about it for about an hour. And that is on his YouTube channel, Athletic Geek 89. So if you want to go check that out, go right ahead. Until next time, we will see you all later.
Peace.